Kia ora Canterbury and welcome to Canterbury Live on Wednesday the 28th of January. Wow, do you like your breakfast spreads? Maybe, no, yes? How about if you like them so much that you want to name one of your children after one? Well, apparently that's what was going to happen over in France, and the courts ruled, no, you cannot call your daughter Nutella, seriously. But potentially they will call their daughter Ella, so that's a bit of a giggle for first thing in the morning. Anyway, coming up on today's show, we do head out to Rangiora Vet, and we're talking about lumps and bumps in our animals and how we can find out what's going on there. And Jane caught up with me yesterday, speed dating, the old mainland dating. She's so busy she couldn't come in this morning, so we caught up, and yes, we did have quite a few giggles. And Shayna King is in with me, beautiful local artist. She's on tour, very exciting, and has a new CD, so we catch up and see how that's going. Well, it is a new year, and you may be at fault for saying, oh, I really need to work on that relationship. I'll worry about it next year. Well, hello, 2015 is here, so it might be time that you actually face up to it. So very fortunate that I'm joined by the Director of Operations for Relationships Aotearoa, Pablo Godoy. Welcome, Pablo.
Hello.
Are you finding that with relationship services that people are blinkers on and not dealing with issues?
I think that's quite a common situation within relationships anyway, that it's always something continues to come into that space that pushes out those conversations, and you kind of have that temptation to next week. But I think in particular here in Canterbury, it's more amplified because of what's been happening over the past few years. So more things to deal with in a shorter period of time, that tends to squeeze out those conversations that you would normally want to have anyway.
What is maintenance though? We talk about it like your friend maintenance, don't you?
Yeah.
Relationship maintenance, I mean your car maintenance, you know, I need to get it checked and that. So what do we do for a relationship then to maintain it?
You'd know every relationship would have its own maintenance, or what makes it tick and what makes it healthy. So when you walk away from a conversation or an activity, you both walk away feeling more connected. And so different relationships will have a different recipe for that. But some of the common ones are just spending time together, talking about stuff, connecting about what you both enjoy, what the relationship means, you know, remembering those things as to why you got together in the first place and what you want to do moving forward. I mean, those are all the kind of conversations that keep that relationship as healthy as possible over time. And we know that couples that are able to do that are able to navigate through issues a lot better in the long run than if they didn't.
How about if you get to the point, Pablo, where you've tried to do all that, but you actually may potentially need some help?
And it depends on the help. I mean, it's always really helpful for both people to sit down and say, look, what do we want out of this, and how do we go about achieving that? And if that may be one of the answers to that, could maybe that we would maybe need to go and talk to somebody else and get supported. And that's a relatively straightforward process. But it's actually identifying that we do need some kind of support. Talking to friends, talking to families is also really helpful. But if you feel like you need a little bit more of a structure around that help, then a service like Relationships Aotearoa could help. It puts those conversations in a space that you can both feel able and safe enough to have hard conversations.
Well, and also in those relationships, potentially they have children, and you are being a role model as far as how you deal with different relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's some of the struggles that couples get into, is that it's so heavy in terms of their emotions and what they need. To put themselves outside of that and also be mindful of their children is really important, and that's not always easy to do. You get sucked into this dynamic of a relationship and you kind of start losing sight of other things. But you're right, it's an opportunity to demonstrate how do you become respectful, how do you become connected, how do you start resolving things jointly. Those are the things that you model to children, aren't they? Because that's what they take away regardless of what relationship that has been learnt from. And they can apply that to other relationships.
And going forward, if there's relationships that you may not have had, so you hear estranged, that word, maybe a parent that you haven't spoken to for years and years and years, How do you broker to mend a relationship like that?
I think one of the most helpful things is that over time you get into the habit of not connecting with that person, and it becomes a habit. And I've heard so often that they almost forget what the reason was, although they have a vague recollection of it. The energy and the intensity of why you decided to break apart is no longer there, and it just got into this habit of. And so it is about just recognising maybe things could be different, and it's potentially just writing an email or text or phone saying, I just want to say hello, it's been a while.
What's some advice you would give to someone that is going back to a relationship, you're saying it's been consumed by EQC, especially here in Canterbury?
Yeah.
What's your suggestion for that first step towards maintaining and getting back to the core relationship?
I think what we're finding currently is that there's been so much struggle and layers of issues to deal with over time that any one of those issues within that relationship could have been resolved, but because there's so many of them and they seems like they continue to happen, that those issues keep on pushing out those moments to being able to connect. And what we're finding is that now we're getting a cohort of couples that have focused so much on getting the house repaired or built or rebuilt that once they move into that new place, they look around and say, actually, we've got a new house, but our home life is nowhere near what we
needs repair as well.
And they live. We hear a common thing we hear is that they were hoping to invest in the house, and therefore the issues in the home would be resolved because of that.
I think, Pepper, we need to get you back to actually continue this conversation. It's great. It's very topical. And to offer some more assistance and advice. It's great. Good catching up with you.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, next week, Tuesday, February 3rd, the big band era hits Christchurch. Very exciting. We have some double passes and CDs to give away.
The Opportunity Daytime Concerts presents hits of the big band era, featuring icons such as Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, Tommy Dorsey and many more. Nationwide tour January and February. Book today at daytimeconcerts.co.nz or free phone 0508 266 237.
Love that music, don't you? All you need to do is call through to Marianne on 03 3777 033 or go to our webpage or leave us a message on Facebook to go in the draw to win some double passes and a CD. Keeping on with the musical theme, after the break I catch up with Shana King. Workout and a half, Shana.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive, isn't it, really? Welcome to Canterbury Live. You are one busy lass, but let's talk about the video, though.
Yeah.
Exactly what's happening there.
Yeah, so definitely head online and watch the rest of the video because it's a bit of a mystery story, I guess. But yeah, there's a few surprises at the end of the video, so I don't want to give too much away. But if you head online, you can search Shayna King anywhere in Google or anything, or YouTube, and that will come up. So.
Great, and you've got a new single.
Yeah,
the new single, but that's been released though. That's the video. But when was it released?
It was released in August, before we went to Australia, and then the video was a couple of months in the making.
Right.
So, yeah, we just had to get everything right before we released that. So
it's gorgeous, and apparently it's all local.
Yeah, it's all shot in Taitapu and Motukarada, which is all about within 5 minutes of each other, all the locations on this video. So yeah, it's pretty amazing that we got, you know, from oceans to mountaintops in one day. So we're pretty lucky living here. Very
lucky. And you are travelling though around all our mountains and so forth, aren't you? You're on tour at the moment. Yeah, just started a tour, so haven't quite left Christchurch yet. We did Diamond Harbour on Friday night, and then we're heading away on Thursday up the top of the South Island, Kaikoura, Picton, Nelson. Yes, well, let's have a look here, because on the 29th, so that's on Friday, where are we? Thursday? No, 29th, yeah, so it's 29th of Jan, Strawberry Tree in Kaikoura, and then on 30th of Jan you're up in the cafe in Picton. Wow. And then back, whoopsie daisy, back to Christchurch 15th of February to Lazy Sundays. Yeah, that's the last show of our kind of summer tour, so that'll be awesome, so we're looking forward to that. Great. So you went to Australia. Tell us about how that jaunt over there was. That was in September, yeah. We just basically soaked in as much of the Australian music industry and scene as we could, and we went to lots of music conferences, talked with lots of representatives, labels and managers, and just tried to get, you know, a sense of what it would take to kind of break the market over there, and talk to a lot of other artists as well that were in that scenario. So it was a really big learning experience, and Australia's a lot bigger than New Zealand. Yeah, but it is, and you know, we've got some fantastic talent here. Yeah, that's right. And they do like to take them as their own, don't they, when you get over there? But yeah, I mean, seeing a lot of the acts that were the top up-and-coming acts in Australia just made me realise how much talent we do have in New Zealand, is that I've seen so many local bands in Christchurch that are I believe, on the same calibre as what we saw. So yeah, it's an eye-opener. It's all about promotion. So after the tour's finished, what's next? Into the studio, or? Yeah, we're going to be doing some demos very, very soon. We've got a lot of new songs that I've written over the past few months that we're performing on this tour. So we're going to be seeing what the response is from those, and then heading into the studio this year and making some more plans for some more single releases and things like that. So you're staying put, Shayna? You're not planning on skipping over to Australia or anything like that? Yeah, I'm staying put for now, yeah. But I'm at that age where I have, you know, feet that want to travel and things, so I will definitely be travelling in the next, I'd say, a year's time, yeah. Great, so where can we find your music again and that awesome video? Yeah, so you can find everything on my website, which is shaynaking.com. Everything's on there, tour dates, live music videos, links to iTunes, all of that. So, yeah. Very cool. Hey, great for you to come in, and we'll definitely catch up later in the year. We'll keep in touch. Oh, but thank you. All the best for the tour. Thank you. And we'll see you at Lazy Sundays on 15th of February. Stay with us now. She's a busy lady, speeding everywhere. Yes, mainland dating. It's Jane. I caught up with her yesterday. Well, Speed should be her middle name. Jane Metcalf, mainland dating. Thanks for having me. You are a busy lady that we've had to catch up with you before the big event. It's all right, all good. Yeah, great. Hey, let's talk about getting back into the dating game, because for some, it could have been quite a while. Oh, for a lot of my clients, they're coming to me and they haven't dated since they were 15, 16. So they've had their 30-year relationship, they've got rid of the kids, they've done everything they needed to, but then the relationship breaks up and they're going, oh my God, I'm 53, what the hell am I meant to do? And it's a really scary prospect, and so a lot of them will spend a bit of time just getting comfortable with themselves, but then it's like, well, what do I do now? How do I put my toe in the water? And so I really enjoy that with the events that I run, that's exactly what does happen. I just get social singles to meet and say g'day, so it's not too scary, which is good. No, but what I've heard from quite a lot is women in their 50s are saying they don't want me, guys my own age, They want the younger birds. Is that right?
That's right for some of them. But I tell you what's funny is these lovely men, that they're in the same phase. Those 53-year-old men that have been married to that same lady, they've had their 30 years and they say, oh, stuff it, this time around I'll go for a younger one. But after 3 years and they realise they can't get them, they change their ideas and they say, actually, someone about my age would probably be fine. So It's a really interesting one that you've just got to get people at the right time frame.
And let's switch the coin over.
Yes.
That horrible word, cougar.
Yes.
But is there the 50-year-olds looking at the younger chap?
Everyone is. Oh, Andrea, I have a very funny time because in my sort of 50-plus age groups, we can grossly generalise and say the men are looking for younger women, but we can also grossly generalise saying the men are looking for the women are looking for younger men.
Yeah.
So it's a really bit of a funny one, and I've got to try and keep things nice and straight and say, hey, don't panic about their age, just go for their personality.
Ah, okay. So you switched on them. Go, don't stick with the old age thing. Just look at the relationship and the person.
Well, they've got to stick with their peer group through my events.
Yeah.
But they've got to be realistic. You know, if they can find some young one, good luck to them. But realistically, in your peer group is probably where you're going to have more joy.
Where do people get it wrong then?
It's the problem that we all have, that we all feel much younger than we actually are. And I think that's always going to be a bit of a tricky one, especially when you get to that 50-plus age group, when you're looking at dating, because you feel 35. So you're looking at the 35-year-old saying, oh, how about it? And it's like, and he's going, oh, no, you're granny, oh, no, you're granddad. You know, so you've got to watch what you're doing, and realistically, you've got to think about the fact that you have aged along with the rest of the population. So look for someone who's young at heart rather than worrying about their actual age.
That's nice, because you do hit the whole thing, you're only as young as the one you feel, isn't it?
That's what they like to say.
I like to say that, maybe not actually take it to reality. You've had some great success stories. Can you share some with us?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, Andrea. I've been operating for 8.5 years and I've got over 900 couples in long-term committed relationships. And it was a delight just this weekend. I went to catch up with a young couple who met at speed dating February 2013. All went swimmingly, so that was great. And I lost contact with them a wee bit because you do tend to catch up with them now and again. How are you getting on? And got a lovely text message from Stuart about a week or so ago to tell me that they'd been in Paris in October, and he popped the question. I thought, good move, Stuart.
Yeah.
And they came back to New Zealand and they thought, oh, bugger it, we might as well just get married. So they got married on December the 27th.
Wow.
So I got them to take me out for a beer on Sunday because, you know, I thought that was a good payback.
Yeah, it's not a bad payout. And a lot of children have come out of your matchmaking as well.
There's over 100 babies that have been born to couples that have met through the speed dating. So I feel like a fairy godmother. And sometimes you have some very funny incidents. I was at Pack and Save one day, and I'm walking down the aisle, and I recognised this lovely lady, and she says, oh, hello, Jane. And I said, oh, hello. And then next minute, she's leaning into the pram of this 9-month-old kid saying, Scotty, you wouldn't be here without Jane. And I'm pretty sure that everyone in the aisle at Pack and Save was going, what the hell is going on there?
Yeah, I think so. Was she a surrogate? What's going on there? What a hard shot Jane is, and I look forward to catching up with her around Valentine's Day with some more tips. Stay with us after the break. Lumps and bumps in our pets. Yes, we're at Rangiora Vet. Well, we should do our regular checks for ourselves, checking lumps and bumps, and our pets are no exception. And thank goodness for Sophie the vet. We head out now to Rangiora.
This week at the Rangiora Vet Centre, Sophie demonstrates how you can check your own pets for lumps and bumps at home.
So today we're going to talk about lumps on dogs and cats. We're using a dog for this example, but it's important, and a lot of the same principles apply to cats with issues as well. So we're talking about how to check your pet for any lumps, where to look, and what to do about it if you find a lump. So this dog is probably about 10 years old. Obviously, the older the dog gets, the more chance there is of it developing lumps. It's really important that when you're just petting and playing with your animal like this, to feel all over them. So run your hand firmly down their body and feel if you can feel any little lumps or bumps. If you can feel something and you think, oh, what's that? First rule is to check the other side and see if you can feel it on the other side. And if there's two of them, generally it's probably a normal lump that you can feel. In female dogs, whether they're spayed or unspayed, it's really important to check the mammary area. Dogs can get breast cancers, the same as people, so you need to run your hand firmly down underneath their tummy. You need to check and find their little nipples as well. This dog was spayed quite young, so her nipples are really quite small, so you can't even really see them, but you need to have a good feel. The other place to check for lumps that's really important is around the throat and under the chin. This is where we get a lot of lymph nodes and glands. And basically there's a lot of loose skin in a dog as well around here, so it's just good to give it a good old ruffle and a good old feel and make sure that everything feels smooth. And don't be afraid, you're not going to hurt your dog by having a good feel. Most of them quite like it, and you can kind of combine it with a good pat and a good rub at the same time. The other place is lumps they can get on their legs, and obviously they've got joints, and they've also got lumps obviously on there as well, which some of those are normal. If there's a lump over a joint and the dog's a bit lame, that could indicate something more like an arthritis rather than an actual skin or tissue lump, soft tissue lump. This particular dog, I was checking her the other day, and we came across a tiny little lump just there. So I'm going to talk to you today about what we would do in the first instance of investigating whether this lump is just a benign lump or whether it's something more to worry about. So when we're looking at dogs, the lumps can be anything, and there's no way to tell from looking at them from the outside as to what they are. The only way to say whether they're a cancer or they're just a benign lump is to take a sample, and the first step that we go through to try and diagnose what they are is we use a process called fine needle biopsy or fine needle aspirate. This process is normally quick and painless for the dog and the cat, and we can do it in a consult like this. We take a sample using a tiny little needle, put it onto a microscope slide, and then either look at it ourselves in the lab or we send it away for further examination. From that, hopefully we'll get an answer as to what it is. If it comes back inconclusive, the next step is normally to do an anaesthetic and a biopsy. And it's really important that we know what that lump is before we even think about considering to remove it. A lot of people say to me, and I completely understand, why don't you just chop the lump out? And we get that a lot. However, it's vitally important that if that lump is a nasty type of cancer, that we remove it in the most appropriate way, which sometimes involves taking a big margin around it. And if we just remove a lump willy-nilly and send it to the lab, there's every chance we could leave some cancerous cells behind and risk further spread of the disease through the dog.
Next week, Sophie shows us the ultrasound machine and takes us through the process of performing a scan.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a great one, and tomorrow is no exception. Canterbury Car Club is here. Guy Stewart, yes, the man himself, and Rob Cope-Williams, and we're talking Scope Classic. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.